a lot of people get in relationships where this person said, well, I'll change them. If you're getting in a relationship like that, you got to get out of that relationship, because you're just going to lead to bitterness. Because, okay, yes, there are followers who do want to be told what to do, and I guess they're okay with changes. But I think the ultimate person that should be doing the change is you.
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on this last week and talking about accepting others where they are, and I pushed it last week, and I'll push it again in case somebody didn't hear that episode and they're listening to this one. It is so unfair for you to walk into a relationship saying, well, I'm going to change them. That's unfair. It's not up to you. Number one, that's way not okay. Like, why do you have that expectation going into a relationship? If you feel like the person has to change in order to meet your needs, you don't need that person, period. If you're going into it with that, no. Second of all, you're basically telling this person, I don't accept you where you are. I don't accept you how you are. You have to change in order to mold into my life. And that's different than a boundary. That's way different than a boundary, to go into a relationship saying, oh, you have to change this, and this, for me to be with you. No, that's not how it works. And you have to change yourself. And if that change within yourself goes, okay, I accept you right where you are. These are kind of going in together, aren't they? I accept you right where you are, but the change that's in me, I can't stay here. I love you. You stay right. That's okay. I don't require anything more of you than you can give. But I have to go this way. And like, I've given this hard, I've said this to Wild Man when I was doing weight loss, not like I was going to leave him. It was just, I'm doing this. When I started years ago, I was like, I'm doing this. It's going to require that I give up this, and this. It's going to require that I change. I don't require anything of you, but I need you to understand, late nights of working out, early mornings working out, cooking, cleaning, like all of those things, it's going to require that of me. And so if you're on this path with me, I'm just letting you know, I'm changing me. I don't know what that equals for you. I'm not requiring you to change, but I'm changing me, and that might affect you.
And look, I think you explaining that to Wildman is a wonderful thing, but really at the end of the day, you don't owe anybody an explanation for your change. Now, yes, your husband needed to know, because things would change for him, and he's like, whoa, this is forced change on me. Brittany, what are you doing to me? Like, right? And same with your kids. Like, they had to get used to mommy being in a different role because she's changed, and it's changed them. So if they're directly in your life, yeah, you probably should explain what you're doing. They still don't get a say. You're still going to change if you want to change.
Yeah.
Average everyday people, kind of like when I came back from sabbatical last year, and I started talking about trauma. You should have seen my inbox of people going, what the hell, Jimmy? What is all this stuff? Well, I don't want stick to keto, stay in your lane. You can't change. And I'm like, watch me.
Yeah. And I love that. And that is what I teach to my children. So, I've talked about unschooling here. We are not afraid to change things up. So the other day, we saw Disney had like some shark shows. And so we just were like, we were going to do this thing, but we were like, oh, sharks, let's learn about sharks today. And so we just changed it up, and I've let them understand that change and embracing it and not fighting against it, like that is that is the way to do it.
Can I say that you and I grew up in an environment where change was highly discouraged, that structure was the norm. And so we both craved change so much. So I love that you have created this culture of change within your daughters and within your family unit, to the point that when change needs to happen, they're going to be more willing to jump at the opportunity rather than be reticent. And maybe that's why you and I have such trouble with change sometimes. It could probably help you with your schedule change stuff. I know if you set a schedule and it gets off, it's like that throws your into a tizzy. And a lot of that goes back to your perfectionist mindset from your Enneagram 1 and which came from your childhood trauma. And so I love that you're doing that with your daughters, by the way. I think what you are doing and what we talk about on this show is making them well-adjusted adults someday, that they're going to be everybody around them's going to crumble and fall when it's time to make a change. And they're like, guys, you just change. What's the big deal? They're not gonna see it as some big monument thing that oh my God, trepidation about. And it's like, they're like, no, this is called life.
Yeah, so I have a funny story and yet another reason why I do what I do with my kids. So Wild Man has a family member, and this family member owned a business. I kid you not, Jimmy. I almost fell on the floor when I walked in to see a 1992 year. I was born in 92. It was a boxed computer. Like this was like maybe 7 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. A box computer that they were running their business off of. They had no website. They still like.
Well, not 92. There wasn't websites yet.
No. This was just 7 years ago.
Oh, sorry.
The computer was from 92.
I never heard a date after the 92, so that was like there was no at 92.
The computer was from 92, but it was like 7 or 8 years ago.
14 or so, 13, 14. Okay.
So hadn't opened up. They hadn't opened up to, we don't need that. We don't need a new computer. This one works just fine.
Did they still have AOL? You got mail.
I don't know. But like, it was so bad. And I come in going, if you want to make it as a business, you have to be on social media. You have to have a website. You have to. Yeah. And this is a sad / told you so story. They're like, no, we don't need all that. We don't need that. I ain't changing nothing. This is the way I've always done. This is the way I'm always doing it. That business doesn't exist anymore. It's gone.
And that's a great story that leads to a good point. Change has to be informed. Because obviously, had they kept up with the times and not still living in the 90s, they would know that the internet is a thing. They would know that people Google companies. They would know that they need to be listed in certain ways. They need to engage with customers in the online world. But if you don't know you need to change. And so therefore you stay in this blinders kind of view of society where the internet's over here and all the people dying to use their services over here. They can't see them because they're just looking at one monolithic point of view. And I mean, that's a great example of why change is hard. Change is hard if you're ignorant. And I don't mean that in the ugly way. They're literally ignorant of how life works now. And that's a shame. And you tried to tell them, but you were ping, 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 trying to break the walls down from their eyes, but they didn't want to see it. And maybe there's blind spots in parts of your life that's making you not change.
Yeah.
You took this blind spot down, you go, holy crap, what is all this?
Just don't take both of them down, because then you'll be me. Because I was just like this my whole life, and then I took one down, and I could see it. I was like, oh, let's put it back. Because remember, I threw it all out a couple years ago.
When you take both of the blinders down, yes, it's scary. Yes, you're like, holy crap, look at all the stuff I didn't know. But now, Brittany, you can make a more informed decision about the changes you do need to make. Because like this, the changes are going to be so skewed because there's world out here you can't see in this point of view. Even this is incomplete. You have to get completely blind free, seeing everything and going, okay, based on everything I'm seeing, this is the change I need to make. And actually at that point, it's the change you want to make, not just should make. You actually desire it.
Yeah, that was me. Like when I finally took those down and I just began to be observant of everything around me, that's when I was like, I need this. I need this change. And I think going back to 75 hard, I looked in on my own life and I was like, this is not working. This is not working. And I've known that it wasn't working for a long time. And I've tried this thing and tried this thing. And I tried to change here and tried to change there. And finally I was like, a little bit of change is clearly not something that works in Brittany's brain. I have tried, guys. And I don't suggest this to people who can't take on big changes. I have learned Call it trauma, call it ADHD. I don't give a crap what you label it. Brittany does way better with monumental, life-changing changes rather than just a little bit at a time. I don't really do very good with little bit at a time. Just let's change it all. Let's do it all. We're doing it all. We're committed.
And some people, that kind of change is incredibly frightening. But I think sometimes that kind of change is the impetus for getting you to where you've always wanted to go.
Yeah.
I like people stay stuck in their lives because they expect change to come to them, and they don't realize change doesn't come outward in, it comes inward out. And the only way at least the change that's good, there is change that comes outward in. Right now we're living in a world where there's a lot of outward forces trying to make us change, and it's not good. But if you want to make good changes, you've got to start from in here. You've got to have a pure heart as to why you want to change. You need to have a clear mind and a clear plan of action of what the change is, what it's going to do. Think of all the bad stuff, good stuff. You and I've had many conversations about changes that you've wanted to make and vice versa, and all the ramifications. And we just talk them out. And if you don't have a friend that you can do that with, you guys, get somebody that you can talk these things out. Because sometimes you and I talk and you're like, oh, wow, I never would have thought of those things with the change. And that's why you have friends. That's why this wonderful woman here is my best friend, because we bounce ideas off each other like that all the time, because we both have made some pretty big decisions the last few years together. And I'm glad I got you.
Yeah, I agree. We've made some really big changes, and I'm about to have to change my britches because I have to pee so bad from all this dang water.
I'm gonna do something I've never done before. You go pee, and we'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Have you experienced the dreaded keto flu? Did you know that most of these symptoms are actually due to your body dumping excess electrolytes? This is where Lament comes in. Lament is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means lots of salt with no sugar. Lament is formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited to folks following a keto, low-carb, or paleo diet. Lament contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, with none of the junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS. Everyone needs electrolytes, especially those on low-carb diets, or if you practice intermittent or extended fasting, if you're physically active, or sweat a lot. Add Lament today and see how much better you feel and perform. Use the URL drinklmnt.com/Jimmy.
This bathroom break brought to you by... I knew that was going to happen when you started chugging all that water. And you're like, I got a half gallon more to go. I'm like, she going to have to pee in the middle of our podcast. Because last week, after we finished recording, we always talk after the show. And you were like wiggling at the end, like within 10 minutes of us talking. I'm like, Brittany, go pee. I can hang up the phone.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to time my water better on record days because, woo, man.
Oh yeah. Whenever I'm recording a podcast, I always titrate down 2 hours before I get on air. I always have water with me during the conversation, but getting up to it 2 hours, I just stay off of liquids because I know my preference would be to do what we just did. All right, now back to our regularly scheduled program, already in progress. Go.
Oh goodness. So change, sorry. My brain noodles are gone. They're gone. I need to have a second to come back.
That's all right. So yes, I mean, this is such an important topic because people do have that struggle with change. And I think if you stop seeing change as a negative, you guys, and actually embrace it as something that's exciting. That was the game changer for me, by the way. When I started seeing change as, rather than going to the worst case scenario of what that change means, I don't even go to the best case scenario. I go to what's just the average scenario.